This is a much more appetitive lifestyle than it is a satiating lifestyle. And what I mean by that is this. I've got a lot of comments, emails, and messages on people requesting videos on certain homesteading topics. And while the video requests are all over the homesteading spectrum, they all have some continuity in this regard. People that are new to the homesteading lifestyle wanting to know more about a certain topic. It's exciting to see this homesteading movement kind of growing and people trying to do more for themselves, especially since the commercial supply chain has proven to be mighty fragile in recent history. And this has subsequently opened the eyes and minds of a lot of people. And I apologize if you're new here. My name's Seth, and I've been living what's now known on the internet as a modern homesteading lifestyle basically all my life here in southern Mississippi. I mean, it was kind of by default. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have many other options. And on this channel, I offer practical homesteading advice from a southern poor person perspective, while simultaneously killing the unrealistic dreams of overzealous but well-meaning individuals. And today is no different. According to the polls, the vlogs, the blogs, and the courthouse records, many people who start a homestead don't make it very long, and the property ends up back on the market. And I obviously have opinions on the reasons as to why this is so. And the lesser of the reasons is this: the romantic idea of living a self-sufficient life in a rural area so you'll have more freedom. Newsflash, YouTube. That's a lie. There is no freedom here. The culmination of living on a hobby farm or a homestead does not lead to time freedom, financial freedom, nor freedom from the real world. I have friends and family in East Texas, southern Louisiana, even up in West Virginia, and we own 14 acres in the Ozarks of northern Arkansas close to the Buffalo River. And I don't have time for any of it. I simply don't have the freedom with my time to jump up and go and do as I please. And I know a lot of y'all that already kind of live this lifestyle can give testimony to that. I mean, I walked by 9 things that needed doing coming down here to get this camera set up. And, well, to be honest, it's a lot easier to sit on a bucket and talk to a camera than it is to shovel dirt. And this surely does not lead to financial freedom, nor freedom from real life, especially here in the United States. We are tied down, and you can only, to an extent, untie yourself from the system. Property taxes and health insurance being 2 prime examples. In most states, if you go 3 to 4 years without paying any property taxes, somebody else is going to own all your stuff. One moderate health event without health insurance in this country will leave you in debt, quite literally, for the rest of your life. Squash, cucumbers, nor eggs are considered sufficient funds to the medical accounting office. Now, do you really want to jeopardize the financial health of your family's future for the sake of living like a poor person for fun? This is where you say no. The only book that I personally care to read has told me that by default, I'm commissioned by God Almighty to be the protector, provider, and leader of my household. And as aggravating as it may be, I bear the burden of going to a normal job to ensure that my family is covered on all sides in our current generational era. In the times that we live in, disposable income and health insurance are 2 basic requirements for the world in which we live today. And you're not lesser of a person if you hold a job off your homestead to make everything work. That's actually the sensible thing to do. But this don't really answer why homesteads fail and go back on the market. Most folks have got plenty enough sense not to try to live full-time on the homestead without a normal job and just try to eat dirt and make it. So what's the deal? Why do they fail and go back on the market within, I don't know, 6 or 7 years from what I've been reading? If there's anything I've realized living this kind of life for as long as I have, this is a much more appetitive lifestyle than it is a satiating lifestyle. And what I mean by that is this: no matter how much you do, it never fills you up. For whatever reason, the real excitement is in the wonder and pursuit of it all, and not so much in the end of it all. And the reason for that is this: there is no end. It's like attending college for a degree that you'll never get. You just go to class, forever. It's a big, slow rolling system that never stops. You plant the garden, you nurture the garden, you harvest the garden, you preserve the garden, you eat the garden. You plant the garden again, you nurture the garden again, you harvest the garden again, you preserve the garden. You get where I'm going. Gardens are just one aspect of this big system that just rolls on slowly and never stops. And built into that is the unavoidable fact that the work never stops. You can be excited about a new incubator, and that leads to the excitement of hatching your first few chicks. And that leads to the excitement of getting an egg from the chicks that you hatched months before. But before long, the excitement wanes, and hatching chicks in the incubator just turns into something else that you need to do. And ultimately, you'll find yourself hatching chicks in that old incubator, and you don't even really get excited about it anymore. At least not to the extent you did in the beginning. And after a while, the only excitement you'll find is in the pursuit of something that you haven't done yet. And by constantly chasing that dopamine hit, you're gonna end up buried in the things that were supposed to set you free. It's perpetual work. It's not that you struggle along until you finally get it right, and now that you got it right, you don't have to do it again. No. When you get it right, you have to remember what you did so you can do it right next time. Much in the same way as you can't eat enough food in one sitting to where you never have to eat again, you can't weed the garden good enough to where you don't have to weed it again. And it don't matter how much you do today, tomorrow has its work waiting on you. Here's a litmus test for you. The goals that you have set for your homestead. Do you feel so strongly about those goals and meeting those goals that the work it's going to take to get to those goals is irrelevant? That's a profitable exercise for you to work out in your mind before you get started, but there's still no way to know for sure until you do it. And that's kind of where I get hung up. I want people to know that they can do it, but I want people to be well aware of what it's going to take from you physically. And there's a lot more to it than the physical aspect of it. There's a psychological aspect that you've got to deal with too. Just say you're in the kitchen and you're on day 8 of watching the gauge on top of your pressure canner while thinking about the shelves in the grocery store that sell those same cans of food for about $1 a can. Then you start figuring up how much time and labor you've got in your cans of string beans. And then that's when the property goes back on the market, because a lot of people don't find it worth it. And when I said this is more of an appetitive lifestyle than a satiating lifestyle, I'll say it's barely that, unless you find satisfaction in the small things, like sitting around the table at supper time and just realizing that everything on your plate was brought about by your efforts. It can bring back a lot of fond memories. I remember the first goat we ever processed. We processed him out of anger because he kept getting out eating my wife's flowers and all of our garden plants up. Which, by the way, that's what GOAT stands for. Gets out all the time. He ended up being our gateway goat. No other goat since him has been safe from ballistic trauma and evisceration. Goat meat is fantastic. All right, I feel like I'm rambling. Freedom. No freedom on the homestead. It's going to take a lot out of you, but it is rewarding. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. What kind of mindset do you have? If you're easily discouraged and are known to give up when times get hard, this may not be something that you need to do. But I don't want to be discouraging. I want to encourage anybody that wants to move out to a rural area and live this type of life. You can do it. You can physically do it. There's old people that are not in the best physical shape that do what they can. But just know this, the deer are going to jump your fence and eat your peas. A rat snake or a chicken snake is going to get in your brooder and eat your biddies. Leaf-footed bugs are going to eat your tomatoes. Squash bugs are going to eat your squash. Some of your fruit trees are going to get a fungus and die if you don't treat it. Lots of bad things will happen. And it's going to be things that you never saw coming and ain't going to know how to handle. But depending on what type of person you are, you can recover and you can fight through it. But it can be tough. To all the subscribers, I'm officially caught up on the map pinning. And we do have our first subscriber from Rhode Island. So now I don't have to make that trip. Unless you're a new subscriber and hadn't told me where you lived yet, I got the rest of us represented. And it looks like we're worldwide, as weird as that is for me to say. Anyway, don't forget to check out Grub Terra for all your black soldier fly larva needs. It'll be the first link in the description. And if you use the code Gibson Branch, you'll get 10% off your first order. And I've got some other stuff down there that I use regularly if you're interested in bringing your animal husbandry practices up a little bit. Y'all take care. God bless. And we'll see you in a day or two. And don't forget,